One of the problems with the factory vacuum actuated headlight doors on the 1968 and 69 Camaros is that they're very unreliable and don't always work, as you're always chasing vacuum links or replacing vacuum components. Also, with the aftermarket electric kits, they can also be noisy and clunky and not always work. My name is Dan Oddie. Today we're going to show you how to install the Detroit Speed electric headlight conversion kit on a non-RS 1968 Camaro. Before starting any electrical work on a vehicle, remember to disconnect the battery. For this install, we will also need to remove the battery. Locate the brake pedal support bracket under the driver's side dash, spanning from the brake pedal assembly to the steering column support attachment. Mock up the module and mounting plate. Locate the bolt holes on the support bracket with a marker or scribe. Using the marks that were just made, drill two 5/16 diameter holes in the support bracket. Slide the two included U-nuts over the drilled holes. Make sure the holes are drilled so the U-nuts can be properly installed. Use a drift to align the holes in the U-nuts with the holes drilled in the support bracket. Attach the module mounting plate to the support bracket using two 1/4-inch diameter bolts and washers and tighten. For vehicles equipped with the DSC wiper kit, the headlight module and the wiper module can be installed using the same mounting plate. To do this, remove both modules from their mounting plates. Mount both modules back to back with the mounting plate between them. Use the provided 832 hardware to secure them in place. Do not over-tighten. Mount the module plate with the provided 1/4-inch 20 bolts and washers to the 5/16 drilled holes and the 1/4-inch 20 U-nuts on the support bracket. Reconnect the wiper wiring harness to the wiper module. Remove the headlight switch from the dash. For a 1968 Camaro, removing the switch can be simplified by removing the aster vent below the switch. First, remove the headlight knob by pressing down on the release button on the switch body. Pull the knob all the way out of the switch. Next, remove the switch nut that is threaded into the switch body, which also holds the bezel in place. Pull the switch down and out the aster vent hole in the dash. Remove the connector from the headlight switch. Locate and mark the blue wire. This is a 12-volt headlamp feed wire. Remove the terminal from the connector using a terminal removal tool or a small flat blade screwdriver. Carefully pry up on the terminal lock and slide the included black male connector over the blue wire terminal, which was just removed from the headlight harness connector. Pull on the connector to make sure it is locked onto the blue wire terminal. Next, locate the blue and brown wires on the supplied harness assembly. Connect the blue factory wire with the black male connector to the white female connector on the blue wire of the DSC harness assembly. Locate and mark the brown factory wire in the headlight harness connector. This is the parking lamp signal wire. If you are using an aftermarket wiring harness, this terminal may be filled. In this event, the brown wire must be spliced into the park lamp signal wire. Remove the terminal from the connector using a terminal removal tool or a small flat blade screwdriver. Carefully pry up on the terminal lock. Install the brown factory wire into the empty cavity next to the green wire in the headlight connector. Pull on the brown wire to make sure it is locked into the headlight connector. Insert the brown wire on the DSC harness assembly into the headlight connector where the factory brown wire was removed. Pull in the brown wire to make sure it is locked into the headlight connector. Insert the blue wire terminal into the headlight connector where the stock blue wire was removed. Pull in the blue wire to make sure it is locked into the headlight connector. Push the headlight connector back into the headlight switch, making sure all the terminals line up. Carefully place the headlight switch with both the factory and module harness back under the dash through the aster vent hole. Locate the black ground wire with the ring terminal on the DSC module harness and connect it to a suitable ground stud or screw under the dash near the parking brake. Make sure to remove any paint or corrosion to ensure that a good ground connection is made. Do not attach the red positive lead to a constant 12-volt power source at this time. This will be done in a later step. Drill a 1 1/8 diameter hole near the firewall bulkhead using a unibit or drill bit to pass the headlight motor connectors through the firewall. It is recommended that pilot holes be drilled first before drilling the 1 1/8 hole. Place the headlight actuator wire harness connectors through one of the provided grommets. This will be the yellow, orange, green, and purple wires in the DSC headlight harness. Pull the wires through the grommet. Route the headlight motor connectors through the hole drilled in the firewall from inside the vehicle. Secure the grommet in the firewall. Route the wires along the inner fender well along the stock headlight harness toward the front of the vehicle. The yellow and orange wires will pass through the driver's side inner wheelhouse. Route the green and purple wires along the factory harness underneath the core support to the passenger side inner wheelhouse. If you have a non-RS Camaro or aftermarket inner fenders, a template has been attached in the instructions. It will assist you in locating where to cut holes in your stock inner fenders to install the RS headlight assemblies in vehicles that were not originally RS headlight equipped. Remove the headlight door assemblies and grill. Cut out the appropriate RS inner fender template from the instruction packet. Snap punch the center of the hole locations that will need to be drilled out on the vehicle. Align the template to the front edge of the bottom side of the inner fender and the existing holes. Mark the new holes on the inner fender and cut out the appropriate holes. Before drilling the inner fender, remove the fog light to allow for better access. Drill 3 1/8-inch pilot holes in the marked hole locations from the template. Drill the 2 hole locations closer to the front bumper to a final drill size of 3/8. We recommend drilling pilot holes first before drilling the 3/8 holes. Chamfer the 2 holes as needed. Scribe a reference hole around the pilot hole drilled furthest away from the front bumper. Using a unibit or drill bits, drill the final hole to a final size labeled on the template. File the hole as needed. Install the bell crank brackets into the newly drilled 3/8 holes in the inner fender. Tighten the hardware. Place the bell crank through the large newly drilled hole in the inner fender. There are several fasteners to locate the bell crank into the bell crank bracket. Between the bell crank and the bracket, you will place a steel washer over the stud on the bell crank, followed by a flange nylon washer so that it locates in the hole of the bell crank bracket. On the bottom side of the bell crank bracket, place another flange nylon washer over the bell crank stud and into the hole in the bell crank bracket. Place the wave washer onto the nylon washer, followed by a steel washer and then the hex nut. Loosely tighten the hex nut. Place the headlight door assembly back into the vehicle. Reinstall and tighten the hardware to hold the headlight door assembly into the vehicle. Reconnect the factory headlight connector back into the headlight. Attach the bell crank arm to the headlight door and tighten. Move the headlight door by hand to make sure it moves smooth and easy. Locate the 2 fasteners that attach the inner wheelhouse to the core support underneath the front fender area. Using a 1/2-inch socket, remove the 2 bolts that connect the core support to the inner fender and position the actuator and bracket assembly. The actuator should point forward and the pitman arm should be on the bottom side of the bracket. The holes are slotted so that the actuator assembly can be aligned with the bell crank assembly. Attach the actuator to the vehicle by reinstalling the 2 1/2-inch bolts. Position the actuator so that the pitman arm can pass underneath the splash guard bracket without contact. Insert one of the 2 supplied nylon bushings into the actuator linkage. Using a 3/8 and 7/16 wrench, connect the actuator to the bell crank using the supplied washers and lock nut. If the linkage does not reach the bell crank, reposition the headlight door until they can be assembled. Connect the harness to the actuators and make sure the wires are routed away from moving parts or sharp edges. Use the supplied nylon wire ties to secure the harness. Install the other actuator assembly into the other side of the vehicle. Reinstall the battery tray and the battery. Under the dash, strip the red power wire on the module harness. Attach and crimp a wire terminal onto the end of the red wire. Place a wire connector over the wire terminal and make sure it locks in place. Insert the red wire into an open slot on the fuse block labeled battery. Make sure the 10-amp fuse is installed in between the power source and the module. Connect the 2 plugs on the DSC headlight harness to the 2 plugs on the module. Verify that the wire colors on the harness match the wire colors on the module pigtails. Reconnect the battery. The system will cycle at this point and the door should be in the closed position. Adjust the tightness of the bell crank fastener as needed. Once the system is cycled, check the operation of the system by turning the headlamps on and off. Reinstall the grille back into the vehicle. Reinstall the headlight switch back into the dash. Make sure to align the anti-rotation tab on the switch into the slot on the dash. Position the headlight switch bezel to the dash and tighten the headlight nut into the switch to hold the bezel and switch in place. Reinstall the headlight knob back into the switch. Make sure the knob locks in place on the switch. Reinstall the Astro vent. Thanks for watching, and I hope this video gave you a little more insight on how to install the Detroit Speed electric headlight conversion kit. If you have any questions, please call us at 704-662-3272, or you can send us an email at tech@detroitspeed.com. And don't forget to like and follow us on social media. We'll see you next time.